Welcome back to Sun, Sand, and Sold. Josh told me with David Haber. Not unexpectedly, great interview with David Burstyn. I mean, I think, he is not the traditional developer that we come to think about. He's sitting on two sides. He's got a lot of historical perspective. Clearly, he's got some tricks up his sleeve. That was sort of funny when you were kind of asking. You were like, where's the next hotspot? And he's like, I ain't going there. Which I think is great, right? Because I think and I'm not David is not a client. I wish there were more developers like David, because I think he's got a perspective that says you can do really well and you can also help your community.
Well, remember, he grew up here. He's from here.
Right.
His grandparents came here in the 70s.
Yep. There's got to be a lot of loyalty.
And he's rooted in the community. People know him, and people can see over the last 30 years his track record and what he's done. And I think character, reputation, and track record mean more to lenders.
I thought that was a really interesting part of our conversation, sort of the character underwriting.
I had never heard it that way.
I literally made it up. But at the same.
All right. Well, then I am going to make sure that you and I get credit
for it, because I think, and you and I do it all the time in our work, right? Because so much of our work is by referral. So much of the work is, I want you to meet somebody, and it's like, we say in our own ways, do you vouch for him? And when it's somebody who's known and time tested and trusted, and you say yes, and you get it. I mean, it's like
you definitely know who has a positive character that you want to work with, and you and I both know when we see certain people walking down the street coming towards us that are radioactive.
Right.
We just we're very busy that day.
Right. And David clearly, is somebody who the kind of community connectivity he has, whether it's at a municipal level or whether it's at a, the level of banking, clearly has that kind of character connectivity that's meaningful. And again, that's why it's easy to say more like David, because I think that's when you look at the sustainability of what we're doing. Some people say overbuilt, you can't keep going. I actually happen to believe, I think we're just on, on a record pace.
But I think we have a lot to still go.
We do. I do too. I don't think we're anywhere near the ceiling.
Gentrification west of 95.
And I think when you hear about some of David's projects like in Opelika and that is, to me, that is a lot of the future of development is to say, because it
can't all be east of 95.
It's needed. And by the way, it improves the community. This is not,
you have to, as the mayor of West Palm Beach said, you have to lift up.
Right. It's all ships rise with the tide.
Bottom,
right? Yeah, absolutely. And to say, when you're doing all of this, and I think it also allows the public in general to see it's not all big, bad developer. Right. I think developers get a really bad name because they seem to just sort of be profiteers, if you will, of this wave of economic, explosion.
Well, reliable developers are not bad people. Right. Unreliable developers get.
Right. But I think it also solves a lot.
Get the Haber treatment in court.
It also solves a lot about what we're talking about, because, when I think about what he was describing in his Opelika development, the townhomes and all of that, is, the idea, or what he's doing up by 135th Street, the idea that you're also building living situations where you don't have to get in a car to go to the grocery store. You don't have to get in a car to go to your drugstore, your dry cleaner, that these become more walkable communities. We're getting cars off the road.
Well, according to my wife, you can get food from Publix through Instacart.
But that's still cars in the road. What if you could walk to Publix?
Well, she does. And she's strong. She can carry stuff. But for $20 extra, my wife can avoid having to go to the store. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. And listen, I mean, I think all of it is part of this bigger picture of saying, how can we continue on this trajectory and not build ourselves into oblivion, right? How do we?
Well, part of it has to do with traffic congestion.
Right.
And the other part of it has to do with affordable housing.
Yeah.
Those are the two, to me, those are the two biggest issues. People talk about, the tides are rising and, South Florida is going to be underwater. We're never going to even get there if we can't find affordable housing and a way to deal with traffic gridlock.
Right. And there's repetitions in our theme, but it's because they affect almost everything that gets done. Because, again, if you can't figure affordable housing out, eventually markets collapse because you can't get people to support what you've built. And we know that. And there's been plenty of examples over time in other places where that has happened. And likewise, if you can't get, a Yogi Berra's, you can't get there from here, is to say, look, if you can't drive to work because it's just impossible because you can't drive 3 hours each way.
I mean, look what happened with Rome and Athens.
Right. Exactly.
They didn't have mass transit.
In the meantime, I know we've got Commissioner Pardo coming up
I'm
on
real
our
excited
next episode.
about that.
And again, his district is so active. There's so much going on. I happen to be a member of that district. He happens to live near me in Morningside. I've known him for a while, and I think it's going to be very interesting also to hear what's going on in the city of Miami, because we haven't visited this new iteration of City of Miami. Mayor Higgins now, in office. I think it is probably one of the most consequential times for the city of Miami.
Changing dynamic.
And there's a lot of this sort of out with the old and with the new. And I'm curious for Commissioner Pardo, who was only recently elected, what his perspective both on a Miami local and as well as sitting at the city council level is seeing happening as this change has come to play. So it's going to be exciting to sit down with him and hear more about that. And as always, in the meantime, we're glad that you've joined us here on Sunset and Sold and following us on your favorite social media channels, David, which include
Instagram, X, Facebook, we're Apple, on Spotify.
Well, that's a podcast channel, but yes, we're on Apple and Spotify. Interesting enough, we're also on LinkedIn, and we love the LinkedIn. The LinkedIn exchanges are great because we get a lot more sort of the business folks who are interested in what we're talking about, what we're doing.
And you can watch little short clips. You don't have to watch the whole thing.
You don't have to suffer. You don't have to suffer through the entire 90 minutes.
Although, as of today, my wife Lisa Haber still has not heard 1 minute of one episode, on the theory that she is tired of hearing my voice.
And on that theory, I'm tired of hearing your voice too. Thanks for watching.